What do I think about those alpha male podcasts? Oh boy. We can talk about that too, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm not one of those people that lives in a black and white area. I'm a very like nuanced person. So I understand the allure of those podcasts for men. Like I get it. Especially dudes that are searching for answers because you see somebody who's sitting there and they seem like they have it all. You know, they're sitting there with the stance and they're talking very almost like, you know, they got the music behind it and that speech almost comes across as like motivational for people who are lost. I see the allure. But what people don't see with a lot of that stuff is most of them don't practice what they're talking about. Like they've been caught multiple times not living the same life that they're doing, but they're also trying to sell you a dream. And most of them are also trying to monetize that dream. You are the audience. So they'll say things that will get you into their circle, like, you know, you gotta improve yourself, you gotta go to the gym. I agree with those things. You know, you gotta work on your finances. I agree with those things. You know, you shouldn't, but then all of a sudden, when you're in that thing, you'll start hearing little tidbits of like, wait, what? And at first, and then, you know, all of a sudden they're like, they start feeding you other information that I don't necessarily agree with. You know what I mean? Like the whole like, you know, I don't care about women or women do this type of stuff or all girls are, you know, this type of way. And I don't necessarily agree with that. But if you're only focusing on that, you can find 50 billion examples of that and it can screw your mind up. And that's where all of a sudden you start, instead of trying to work on yourself, you start pointing the finger at everything else around you. And that's what I noticed in a lot of those. I've just to see what it was about, watched that kind of stuff. But they spend most of their time pointing at a very small microscope, and then they, because when you look under a microscope, you can't see everything around you. So you're just seeing that little piece and you start thinking, oh, the whole world's like that. And that's not true. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think every girl cares about how much money you make and that's all they care about. That's crap. Because broke dudes get girls every day. And also, I don't believe in the fact that because you don't make $100,000, you're broke. That's not broke. But to them, you know, they're, well, I got this SVJ, I got this Bugatti, I got this, that. So you start going, okay, well, I'm a failure. How do I get out of this being a failure? Oh, well, follow my course. All right. And then all of a sudden it becomes like this bro camp where it's like an echo chamber. And that's, you're just in, that's where it really starts to get to you. You know what I mean? I think there's women's spaces that do the same thing. If I'm being real, there's women's spaces where they expose cheating guys or they talk about all these bad dates they went on. My Tinder date from hell, this, that, and the third. And then all of a sudden you start seeing that you go on a date, the date sucks, and you're like, oh, see, this is men. This is all men. This is like, there's a lot of good dudes out here. There's also a lot of good women. But if you're only staring at the bad ones, yeah, that's what you're going to think. And then you get caught in that space. So you just, I don't necessarily believe that self improvement means putting women in their place. That's not self improvement. That's projection. And that's where it goes in a completely different direction that I'm okay with. A lot of them started as self improvement and then it all of a sudden becomes radicalized to something completely. They do say things that sometimes, being objective, that I agree with, but not that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Most of them get girls because of money. So there's good and bad to it, but it's you can't get radicalized by it. The most popular ones are guys sitting with a bunch of girls that make certain types of videos on the internet, and then, you know, because it gets views and stuff like that, it just becomes like, get the hell out, get out, you know, they start calling them names and all this other stuff, and then the dudes are just waiting for it. The world they live in, everybody is BBL baddie with you know, spicy accounts and all this other stuff. But being real, how many dudes in here in real life know girls with that type of stuff? I don't know a single woman. That's a lie. I know a couple of women, but that's because they trying to message me. I don't answer. But how many dudes know women in real life like that? Every girl, if you know 100 women, how many of those women in real life that you've come across make accounts like that? It's algorithms, man. And that's why I made a video about that on my second channel, but I'm always willing to whatever. You know a few. Like I said, I didn't say I didn't know any, but it's what's the percentage is a better thing. Even if you know a few. If you knew 100 girls, how many of them? 3? Is the world really like that? You know, or does every girl or woman that you talk to only talk to guys who, you know, you got to make 500 bands a year? 3 out of 100 is scary odds. 3% is scary odds. In most things, a 3%, I like my chances. I have a 90% hit rate. Oh boy, here he comes. I summon the alpha god. Dun, 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 dun. Women have no concept of money. It's funny because there's a woman in this stream who happens to be a full-fledged woman who has a very good concept. Actually, every woman in the stream has a great concept of money. So I've just debunked your theory in one one fell swoop. Both of them got great credit and don't spend money stupid. In general, every woman I've dated doesn't have a bad concept of money. They all got their own jobs. Most of them had their own cribs, unless I'm talking college, and they weren't very materialistic. So that already is debunked. That's what it can skew you. I don't necessarily, unless you're walking around looking for BBL baddies, and ain't nothing wrong with a BBL baddie. And I'm not saying all BBL baddies are like that. I'm saying that generally speaking. Ask them how much their husband should be making. Why? Why are these always the same 5 questions with these podcasts? Why is it always body count? How come all of these things have the exact same format? If I type in, matter of fact, can we do this? Hold on. Do we have like that song? Because they all play that one song, bro. I don't have no sunglasses, but you have sunglasses, you gotta sit in frame and you're like, I make money from the minute I wake up to the minute that I go to bed. And if my friends aren't about money, then I don't have any friends. Get some new friends. Find a new job. I just bought 3 Bugattis in the last 5 minutes. You don't believe me? Let me call my friend. Hold up. I'm about to find them, bro, because they're all the same. There you go. Look, they always got on this medium clothes. Ready? Ready?
My kids, my family, my wife, put it all on me.
How to speak like an alpha. 1.
There's the music. So being alpha, right? So you mean to tell me that if I seen like a hat and I was at the store and I was like, I like it. Weak, bro. You crazy?
Don't say goodbye. Say see you. Wait. What? Say see you.
All right, man, I'm out. See. You get what it's always that the music with the dude and the like, you feel me? Like it's always the same stuff, bro. It's like it is right now. And I'm a dude that rocks hoochie daddy shorts. If you see me with the cheek separator 3000 shorts on, bro. If you see me with the cheek separator shorts on, if you see me with the cheek separator shorts on, I'm gonna ask y'all this because I know that there's predominantly dudes in here, and again, I'm just presenting questions at this point. Have you ever in your life looked at somebody and said, "Damn, the way that dude is sitting, bro, that's a tough motherfucker right there. Like he's gotta be. Who's that guy? Man spreading over there in the corner. How to walk like an alpha." They all saw like the Andrew Tate playbook, and they were like, "I could do that," and they all do the same exact thing. He even has the music. You know, you buy a suit and then you start talking with the music in the background and
somewhere, look straight ahead.
At the end of the day, like I said, self-improvement is a good thing, but you don't have to copy someone else's whole flow in order to be, to me, it's creating clones. You know, it's like the same thing. And that's the issue that I have with it.